Welcome to the Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks podcast. We cover all things natural, cultural, and historical in the world around us. Sit back and enjoy our sometimes snarky, often funny, and never dull podcast. Howdy, everybody. It's Susan with Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks.
I'm Monica.
And we're back today to cover some wonderful stuff. It's been a moment.
We're talking about a place that I have never heard of. I've heard of a lot of the places that you bring up, even though I'm not familiar with them. You hear the name, you hear a tweak here and there, a banter here and there. I have never heard of this place. And when I saw the title, I was like, huh?
But I thought I was making it up.
I thought you were making it up, or I thought you had misspelled something.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I had never heard of it either. And it is a very unique place, which made me feel better about the fact that I had never heard of it before.
Well, that's great because it's got a unique name.
It does. And there's only, one of its kind. So anyhow, we are the Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks, and we do cover the things that are natural, historical, and cultural in the world around us. And as a part of that, today has a little bit to do with historical and cultural. And it is a national battlefield park, and it is called River Raisin National Battlefield Park.
I thought that you had meant to write something like River Rising. And I was like, how did she get raisin out of rising? It never occurred to me that raisin was what you meant.
And what's funny about that is that I'm still not even sure where, because there is a River Raisin. There actually is a River Raisin.
Okay.
But which is probably why they call it what they call it, right? River Raisin.
Right.
But there actually is a river. But I don't know why that river was called Raisin. I don't know.
The Raisin River. Maybe they meant to say rising and it was just the pronunciation of it and it came out raisin.
I could believe that if it were in the South, but it's up north. It is where there are a bunch of French people, because the town used to also be called Frenchtown, but now it's River Raisin. But so let's talk a little bit about where it is, because maybe that will help us understand this place that's in our history.
Yeah.
So this place is located in Michigan, and it's in the southeastern part of Michigan. And I had gone there, actually it was with my sisters, I think back in 2023, we were doing kind of a road trip of different things.
Right.
And I invited them along and said, hey, y'all want to come with me? I'm going to go take a drive for a couple of weeks. And so they jumped on. But it's because I was kind of surprised that it was in Michigan, that I actually had driven to Michigan. But I did, because I went to like Indiana Dunes National Park. And then this is kind of in that general same vicinity. So, but it's up there in Michigan. And you think about it being near Detroit is really, if you think about where it's at. Now, the thing that makes this place remarkable is that it is the only place that commemorates or makes it a thing that is for the War of 1812.
Okay. Interesting. Yes.
Because how much do you know about the actual War of 1812?
I know nothing.
Well, because the only thing that I always associate the War of 1812 is the piece of music.
Oh, yeah, the overture.
The overture to 1812? Yeah. That is the only thing I ever think of anytime I hear about the War of 1812. And so I was like, okay, we have a whole historic site that is now dedicated to commemorating basically the War of 1812. And so I actually had to do some looking up of this place, because I really didn't know what it was about.
And what is it about?
The War of 1812. But no, this is the interesting part. So you have to kind of put yourself in place of thinking, okay, so we, United States, had won our independence, right, back in the 1776-ish time frame, right?
Yes.
Sure we did. So think about that. Now, fast forward the British are still giving us some grief and not happy with us and started messing with us from like a naval capacity and like harassing us in a way. That's kind of how I put it. Those are my words, but I think of
Okay.
it as like they were harassing us and we were like a little fed up with it.
Okay.
And so we got reports. We got reports, back in the day. I'm sure they came by like horseback
Horse.
or maybe train. I don't know. But anyhow, we got word that there were some folks up in the Detroit area that were getting a little disgruntled because the British militia had kind of moved in. And of course, there were, oh no, some Native Americans that were there. And so we were like, we got to go do something about that. Well, yeah, we didn't really go do something. Well, we tried to do something about that, but it was interesting because it was the British, of course, that we were at war with, and the British had allied, or the Native Americans had allied with the British. So
Well,
it
of
was,
course they did. Get the hell out. Get these people off our land.
well, now that you say that, of course.
And you blame them.
Well,
Please take them back.
Well, because, yeah, I mean, but the shocking thing is that, I mean, you have to think about, Michigan and understanding, like, it's so far north, like I
Mhm.
always do the mitten, from Michigan, but it was so far north compared to where a lot of our population was at that time, right? We were starting our expanse towards the west,
Right.
but we hadn't gotten that far. And so this thing that was happening up, so like the British came down and were like, we're taking Fort Detroit. Okay, peace out, you Americans. And essentially we were like, oh, excuse me, pardon me, we'll leave you be. Okay, you can have it. And it's like, this is like, Fort Detroit by Detroit, right?
Right.
And so, and then we were like, oh crap, maybe we shouldn't have done that. Maybe we should have fought a little bit. So this is kind of like, kicking off the War of 1812 in terms of, we were like a little ticked at them for like still trying to take our Western land
Right.
and to try to lay claim to it. And they were, messing around with our seaports and stuff. And so that's why if you think about the War of 1812, I'm like, how did we actually have this war here? Well, it was kind of up here in the Great Lakes region. It was over there in the DC region, which wasn't really DC at the time, but that
Right.
DC
Right.
region, right? And then it was down on the Gulf Coast around, like say the New Orleans area, Louisiana, the Gulf Coast, because it was a water war, really, because it was
That
about
is so. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
because it was about who can control the water, right, to move your
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
around.
It's disparate. You know, the thought of having a war way up there and then still having a faction of the war way the heck down here. It's just kind of strange.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
this is why it never clicked as much in my head about the importance of this war.
Yeah.
Well, there's many reasons why, but that was one of the reasons why. It's like, because it was so separated, because most of the people think of the War of 1812 as being, aside from us musicians who think about the overture to 1812,
Right.
a lot of people remember the national anthem came out of this, the Star Spangled Banner came
Oh,
out of
that's
this,
right. That's right.
and the burning of the White House came out of this.
Oh, okay. Well, that I didn't remember.
So that's usually
That was
what people think about.
insignificant.
But ironically, that's not what we're celebrating here or noting with this particular River Raisin place, right? So anyhow, so Fort Detroit happens, we give it up, and then we're like, oh, that was a bad decision. We need to like come back and go get those people. So we then arrange this attack like in January of like, I think it's 1813 or something. Yeah, January 1813. And we're like, we're going to go get it back. And so Frenchtown / River Raisin area, we go and we march over there with our 700 Americans and say, we're taking this land back and basically beat the British out, right?
Okay.
Great and wonderful. We're like, look at us. We're pretty good. We're tough. We didn't just walk away. No, we came back and we were fighting for our land. But you know what happened after that? Because, we were so young and naive. Just a couple of days later, the British were like, oh no, not having that. The British then come back with about, like, I don't know, 500 of their regular troops and 800 Native Americans from 17 different tribes.
Oh, wow.
They come back. The battle happens, kills a lot of Americans. And then the British are like, okay, we got a bunch of, wounded people here, whatever. We're going to skedaddle out. And the Native Americans that had come with the British to help, win this part of the battle, they were like, we're not leaving because we're still ticked off at them Americans for killing us. They stayed back and did like a whole massacre of Americans in that area.
Oh, wow.
I know. And why is that significant? Because the highest concentration of people that were killed in the War of 1812 happened there. River Raisin.
Oh, really? Okay.
20%, which was the highest for concentrated area, happened in that area, or happened in that battle. Because these battles like took place across a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
It all happened there. That's the massacre. Now, the thing that was also interesting about it is that when we took the first day of the battle that we won, we basically were staffed with a bunch of volunteers from Kentucky. And I don't know how that happened, that Kentucky made it all the way up to Michigan, but that happened.
I was going to say, I'm trying to think on the map. I'm trying to look at a map in my head and go, okay.
Yeah. Anyhow, a lot of them volunteers. Anyhow, so they were the ones that fought to oust the British on that first day of battle, right? And great and wonderful. But of course, then when the British came back for the second time and said, hey, we're really ticked off that you just beat us, and we brought our friends, the Native Americans, and they did that massacre, and then massacred a bunch of these Americans that were Kentuckians. The Kentuckians back home in Kentucky were really not happy. So it's like, it's interesting when you think about this in the juxtaposition of time and space and communication.
Right.
I don't know how they did this back then. Like, how they know that back home that their fellow Kentuckians just got basically massacred.
Well, they had to have had some kind of communication, right? By horseback, sending messages. How else would the Kentuckians have known to go up?
It's true, but it just is. It's just how slow everything happens, right?
It's hard to think about because we're so used to fast communication now. Yeah, we know things from across the world in seconds. Yeah.
So it is interesting that happens, and that then there becomes the rallying cry of "Remember the Raisin," which I'm sure that was a great war rallying cry. Which I have to say, then, I don't know what, 50 years later, not even 50, probably 30 years later, we're like, remember the Alamo, remember Goliad down here in Texas.
That sounds better than remember the raisin. I'm sorry, Raisinites. I'm sorry if you're a Raisinite. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And later, not to cut from this, but wasn't Michigan where Kellogg's was founded?
Is it? I don't know.
Right? Keep talking.
I have no idea, because I'm wondering where that's going to go next. But so remember the raisin became the rallying cry from those battles and from that massacre. So, and this place is not very showy, and it's it's maybe 40 acres at most. This site,
that's not big.
Yeah, it's not big at all.
Yeah.
That's dedicated to commemorating the War of 1812. But I have to tell you that, again, not a ton of people go to this place, but the visitor center is worth the price of admission, which is free. But it is worth your time to go in, because they have a great, I don't know, what do you call them? It's a display that basically shows what it looked like back in the day. Like
a diorama?
Yeah, I guess it's like a diorama. And they have life-size type soldiers, like in their uniforms that they wore and stuff. It's a very nice modern visitor center. And that probably goes along with, I think it became a it was designated uh, as a national battlefield park like around 2010. It was officially established in 2010, so it is fairly new. So it was
Right.
open to the public in 2011, so it is fairly new, but that's what makes it very modern. And so it's worth it to go to the visitor center. And there's also handy dandy stuff.
No. No.
because
Susan has paraphernalia.
because I was so moved by learning about the battles that had happened here, and something that I had never heard of before. Because again, I've heard about, the burning of Washington and, all of that. And, Star Spangled Banner, I've heard about that. But I hadn't heard about this massacre. And so they have this neat thing, which is like the driving tour.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And it's not just even just it has like the driving tour in it, but there is a lot of words. There are a lot of words that actually describe the battle and the history and what you're looking at.
Oh, okay.
It's only $10. Well, it was $10 when I bought it a couple years ago, but it is so cool. So again, the visitor center is really cool to go to. Now, you can also quote walk the battlefield. Now, I think about Michigan like I think about Florida, in that when you go hiking in the area, it's pretty flat. So you could take your hiking poles or your trekking poles if you like, but it's not really required.
Okay.
But
So
you can do that.
it's really more walkable than a hikeable place, which is fine.
Yeah, because sometimes, especially I think about us as, we're getting older in our age, is that it's about getting out and just moving. It doesn't matter if you're hiking like in a, something that has lots of elevation or whatever, or it's like 20 miles or whatever it is, right?
Right.
It's just about getting out and moving about, right?
Right.
And so they have, so there's the driving tour that you can do. So it's kind of like you have a visitor center, then you cross the street, and then there are some different trails that happen. Again, the trails are just basically flat. You have one that goes along the river, which is really kind of cool.
Nice.
And then you have one that you can continue down and then eventually get to where this driving tour starts. And the driving tour itself, I think, has like 18 historic markers along this self-guided tour kind of thing.
Okay.
And that help explain what was happening in this place during that particular battle.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was blown away by it. Because the other thing is, aside from the fact that we were still fighting the British, but here's the thing. Oh, let me get you to the other part of this that I was like, what?
Let's go.
Treaty of Ghent. Ever heard of that? I'd
Say
heard
it
of
again?
it. The Treaty of Ghent.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah, I'd heard of it too, but I wasn't really sure exactly what it was. Kind of like,
I don't know either.
To go look that up. The Treaty of Ghent is essentially what ended the war. And basically, at the end of the day, all the fighting that happened across the different areas that happened, we basically decided to shake hands and call it even. Everybody go back to what they looked like before. So while we had made an incursion into Canada and held a place that was, it was called like the Battle of the Thames. It was like near Ontario. We actually held ground in Canada through this War of 1812, which is kind of,
okay.
I know it's kind of cool. But then they had come down and of course, they were holding land in some parts of Michigan and stuff. So it's like, and then they were doing the blockades and what all that stuff is, right? But at the end of the war, when we signed the treaty, we shook hands and said, everybody just go back to what they were before the war. And then you're like, I'm sorry, we just lost thousands of lives and gained nothing.
What was the war for? Really, it was just to take back that. It was basically to say, get out, Britain, we're independent now, leave us alone. Was that basically it?
It kind of was, because Britain was trying to chokehold us at our ports, Baltimore and in the Great Lakes, and then down in the Gulf Coast.
Down in the South. Okay.
They
And
were
how long
trying
did this last?
a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
Okay.
But that they were trying to do that, and then the term impressment, they were taking our people, our Navy people, making them their Navy people. It's like, you can't just do that.
Huh.
Yeah. So we, little young country that we were, we're like, no, we're not going to stand for that. So then again, it's not like a world war. It's not like even the Civil
Right.
War, right? Because it was so like spotty and where it was happening.
Right.
But yeah, we were trying to basically say, no, you're not going to do that to us. And because British and the Native Americans all still wanted that land to the west, we were like, no, not going to happen.
Huh. So, and I don't mean to downgrade any kind of war, but it was kind of a mini war.
In the scheme of wars that
Right.
followed,
Compared to
yeah,
the Great War, World War II, and the wars that follow, it really was kind of like maybe like a geographical war.
yeah. I mean, well, I guess they're all kind of geographical, but
Right. But I mean,
I think the one thing though that people don't think as much about with this War of 1812 is how we generally think it's, the United States against Britain, and we really neglect sometimes to see the 17 tribes of Native Americans
right.
that were also involved in this.
Right. Right.
And one of their leaders, Tecumseh, once he was killed, it was like that started we're going to have to wind this down, because, these tribes were losing their leaders, and
Right.
that, their own kind of got a little lost. But
Tecumseh is in a song.
oh boy, here we
Not
go.
the leader, but I want to say Tecumseh was Nancy Griffith, maybe. I got to think about it.
What is the song about? Is it about?
I got to think. I want to say, or maybe it's a Linda Ronstadt song. Sorry, I digress. They pop in my head. I can't help it. Tecumseh Valley. I want to say it's Nancy Griffith. Maybe.
Sounds
Keep
like.
going. Yeah, Tecumseh Valley. It might have been written by what is his name? The songwriter
John Prine?
Van Zandt? No, not John Prine.
It was a good guess.
Way. Yeah, it was a good guess because she did cover a lot of his stuff. I'm digressing. I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
Okay, well, so that's
Caroline.
the War of 1812.
Sorry.
And so I recommend going and learning about the War of 1812, because it really is fascinating about what this was for our country in our fledgling state of really becoming the country that we are. And going to that visitor center, because it's a modern visitor center and it has some really cool things to look at and things you can buy, their little shop and stuff. And then it allows you to also still get out and walk. The battlefield grounds are just, across the street, and, take an hour out of your day just to go kind of walk through that and look at the historical markers. Because again, 20% of all American battlefield deaths in the entire War of 1812 happened on that ground. So it's
crazy.
It is crazy. And that I never knew it existed. It is fascinating. So anyhow.
Okay.
So that is.
I got to tell you my other digression. I'm sorry. We said River Raisin, which led me to Raisin Bran, which is Post cereal, which led me to Kellogg's, which was created in Battle Creek, Michigan. Thank you very much.
So remember when we were in high school, did you do that recording, that film that was Battle Creek Brawl? We were extras?
Yes, I was an extra in that. Yes. Because that was how we were raising money for our band trip, remember?
Yes, it was.
And we had to dress like we were in the 20s or something.
Yeah, it was old fashioned, whatever it was.
Yes.
I just remember.
Jackie Chan. It was a Jackie Chan movie. Jackie Chan was in it. Yeah, I remember.
So when I think of Battle Creek, that's what I always think of, Battle Creek Brawl. But I think they changed the name of that movie.
You know that, right?
They what?
They changed the name of that movie.
Yeah,
you can't find it as Battle Creek. Battle Creek Brawl anymore. It's another name. It's got
Yeah,
another
I can't
name.
remember what the name changed to, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was originally Battle
Yes.
Creek Brawl. Anyhow,
Anyhow, sorry.
okay. Oh no, I can understand where the cereal came from.
But I think the song with Nancy Griffith, going back to that, is Caroline. The name she gave was Caroline, daughter of a miner. And it wasn't written by her, it was written by a Texas singer that is famous. He's passed away. I cannot think of his name, but if I do, I'll let you know.
We'll be waiting on pins and needles, but if you know
I'm sure you will.
if our viewer knows who that is, drop it in the comments.
Well, it'll come to me. It's just not coming to me right now.
It happens. All right.
I can tell you it was Townes Van Zandt. Townes Van Zandt, one of Nancy Griffith's favorite songwriters, she being a songwriter herself, and one of her favorite songs because her middle name was Caroline, and that was the main character in the song. Okay,
I had
I'm
no
done.
idea.
Thank you. I have regurgitated all that information out of my head. I feel much better now.
Well, there you go. That's really all that matters.
That's all that matters. All right.
Well, okay. Well, hopefully.
So back to River Raisin. It's important culturally. It's important historically, and it's a place where you can get out and walk if you want to walk, not necessarily hike, and you can also drive if you want to drive.
Yeah, so you really have a lot of choices, and it is modern, so there's really a lot to see, particularly in that visitor center. So absolutely go to that.
Right.
And hopefully you found that interesting and learned a little bit more about the War of 1812 than what you knew about with just being the Star Spangled Banner and the burning of Washington. So this is what we're here to do.
Yay.
We give you more information than you ever thought you needed.
That's right.
All right. Well, I think that's about all I have. You have anything, Monica?
I think I've got everything I needed to get out.
All right. Well, if you like what you're seeing, please make sure you subscribe and like us and drop a comment for us. Let us know what else you might want us to cover. And I think that's about it. So until next time,
hike your own hike.
Hike your own hike. And we'll see y'all later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening, and remember to follow our podcast wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe to Two Chicks with Hiking Sticks on YouTube, where you also get to see our lovely faces, pictures, and videos of our journey.